54th meeting of GST Council concluded. Many important decisions taken in the meeting. Cancer medicines and namkeen will now be cheaper. Big announcement of the central government. Galathea Bay notified as major port. Port to be developed with rupees 44,000 crore. India's first study on teal carbon came out. The study talked about preserving wetlands. The study was done in Keoladeo National Park. New species of Curcuma genus discovered. Species named as Curcuma ungamenensis species has been found in Nagaland. Indian government took a big step. Mission Mausam approved. Will promote weather forecasting and climate research. Recently, the 54th GST Council meeting was held in New Delhi under the chairmanship of the Union Finance Minister. During this, recommendations were made on changes in GST tax rates, measures to provide relief to individuals, and to facilitate business. The Council also constituted a group of ministers to review 18% GST on life and health insurance and to reduce GST on cancer drugs. The Council also approved reducing the GST rate on 3 cancer drugs, namely trastuzumab, deruxtecan, osimertinib, and durvalumab. From 12% to 5%, it increased the tax on car seat covers from 18% to 28% to bring it at par with motorcycle seats, while it approved the reduction of the tax on extruded salty snacks from 18% to 12%. Let us tell you that the GST Council is a constitutional body. It was established under Article 279A of the Indian Constitution by the 101st Amendment Act 2016. It is headed by the Union Finance Minister. It provides recommendations to the Union and the states on key issues related to GST. Recently, Nepal has become a member of the International Solar Alliance, marking its position as the 101st full member of the organization. In the past few days, Nepal handed over its instrument of ratification to the ISA in New Delhi. It is noteworthy that the exchange of the instrument of ratification took place during a meeting between Nepal's Charge d'Affaires Dr. Surendra Thapa and India's Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, Abhishek Singh. Let us inform you that ISA was conceptualized in 2015 during the 21st Conference of Parties as a joint effort by India and France. ISA is an action-oriented, member-driven, collaborative platform for increased deployment of solar energy technologies as a means for bringing energy access, ensuring energy security, and driving energy transition in its member countries. With the amendment of its framework agreement in 2020, all member states of the United Nations are now eligible to join the ISA. It is noteworthy that ISA is guided by its Towards 1000 strategy, which aims to mobilize USD 1,000 billion in investment for solar energy solutions by 2030. Additionally, the goal is to provide energy access to 1,000 million people by establishing 1,000 gigawatts of solar energy capacity through clean energy solutions. This initiative will help reduce global solar emissions by 1,000 million tons of CO2 annually. Recently, the central government has notified the International Transshipment Hub at Galathea Bay as a major port. For this, a major project with 44,000 crores will be started. This project will be managed by the Union Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Its objective will be to develop Galathea Bay as a large and major port which will play an important role in international maritime trade. It will be developed under the public-private partnership model. It has been envisaged to develop the proposed facilities in 4 phases, in which Phase 1 is proposed to be operational by the year 2028. Let us tell you that India currently has 12 major ports which function under the central government. At the same time, 200 other non-major ports are governed by the states. About 65 of these handle cargo, while others are used by fishing vessels and small boats to carry passengers. Let us tell you that Galathea Bay is located in the Great Nicobar Island of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, a union territory of India. It is one of the important sea turtle habitats in India. Recently, India's first study on teal carbon was conducted in the Keoladio National Park of Rajasthan. This study highlighted the importance of wetlands conservation. The initiative aims to develop holistic nature-based solutions to address climate change. It is noteworthy that teal carbon refers to the carbon stored in non-tidal freshwater wetlands, encompassing carbon sequestered in vegetation, microbial biomass, and dissolved and particulate organic matter. These wetlands play a crucial role in regulating greenhouse gases. However, these are at risk due to pollution, changes in land use, water extraction, and soil erosion. Let us inform you that Keoladio National Park, located in Bharatpur, Rajasthan, is a wetland and bird sanctuary. It was recognized as one of India's first Ramsar sites in 1981, and in 1985 it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is considered one of the most important bird sanctuaries in the world. Recently, researchers have discovered a new species of the Curcuma genus in Nagaland. The researchers have named this new species as Curcuma ungamensis. It was discovered by the Malabar Botanical Garden and Institute for Plant Sciences of Kozhikode, Kerala, and Fazal Ali College of Nagaland. Let us tell you that Curcuma ungamensis is considered to be a member of the turmeric family. It belongs to the ginger family Gingiberaceae. This species is a rhizomatous herb from the point of view of botanical science. The height of its plant is about 65 to 90 cm. A special type of yellow flowers bloom in it, which are seen in the season from August to October. This makes researchers believe that this species can be ideal for gardens. It can be planted as an ornamental plant for ground cover in gardens. This species is most common in South and Southeast Asia and South China, while some of its species are also found in northern Australia and the South Pacific region. It is found in the northeastern and southern states of India and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Let us tell you that 21 genera and about 200 different varieties of the Gingiberaceae family are found in India. Curcuma is one of the most important and largest species of this plant family. Recently, a major environmental news has come from the Aravalli mountain region. For the first time, a long turtle classified as critically endangered in the IUCN list has been seen in this region, which is a major achievement for environmentalists and people associated with wildlife conservation. If we talk about this long turtle, it is not native to Aravalli. Its scientific name is Indotestudo elongata. Its upper shell is yellowish brown or olive in color, and it has a pink ring on its nose which appears during the breeding season. This turtle is mainly found in the tropical and subtropical forests of South and Southeast Asia, but due to rapid deforestation, poaching and climate change, their numbers have decreased drastically. Let us tell you that IUCN is a global authority to preserve various species of flora and fauna present in the world. It was established in the year 1948. It issues the Red List, which is the world's most comprehensive list. This list reflects the global conservation status of plant and animal species. Its headquarters is located in the Gland in Switzerland. Recently, the National Board for Wildlife reviewed two controversial projects impacting Goa's Mollem Sanctuary and the Flamingo City in Kutch. However, the board has not yet made its decision public. These two projects are the Goa Tamnar Transmission Project Limited and the laying of the 765 kV DC transmission line from Khavda 2A to Lakadia. Environmentalists claim that the construction of these projects will have a severe impact on ecologically sensitive areas. Notably, 12.5907 hectares of land in the Kutch Desert Wildlife Sanctuary will be used for laying the 765 kV DC transmission line. This region of the Kutch Desert is home to a high variety and density of bird species and provides breeding grounds for two species of flamingos. Additionally, the Goa Tamnar project will utilize 27.092 hectares of forest land from the Bhagwan Mahavir Mollem Wildlife Sanctuary, endangering the natural habitat of wildlife residing there. This sanctuary is home to tigers, gores, sambar deer, sloth bears, and wild pigs, among other species. Let us inform you that the National Board for Wildlife was constituted in 2003 under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. It functions as the apex body for matters related to wildlife ecology. This body reviews issues concerning wildlife and projects or constructions around national parks and sanctuaries. The Prime Minister of India chairs the National Board for Wildlife. According to new report published recently, a large part of the Amazon forest important for the environment is still unprotected. The non-profit organization Amazon Conservation has published these figures. According to the analysis of Amazon Conservation, about 40% of the most important areas of the Amazon rainforest to prevent climate change, whether natural or indigenous, have not been given any special government protection. These areas are located in southwest Peru and in northeast Brazil, French Guiana, and Suriname. It is worth noting that Amazon Conservation has used new data of satellite imaging to analyze the rainforest. Amazon rainforests are vast tropical rainforests which are present in the basin of the Amazon River and its tributaries in South America and cover a total area of 60 lakh square kilometers. Let us tell you that tropical forests are canopy forests which are generally found in the area between 0 to 28 degrees north and south of the equator. It is noteworthy that when the branches of tall trees in the forest form a roof-like shape over the lower trees, it is called canopy. These rainforests receive more than 200 cm of rainfall throughout the year. The temperature of this region generally remains between 20 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius. Recently, the Union Cabinet approved Mission Mausam. Along with this, an outlay of Rs 2,000 crore has also been approved for the next 2 years. Let us tell you that Mission Mausam will be implemented primarily by the Ministry of Earth Science. Under this mission, India's weather and climate related science, research and services are to be promoted. In such a situation, it is believed that this can be a multidimensional and transformative initiative. It can help deal with extreme weather events and the effects of climate change. This program will also help in adaptation and broadening of the communities, regions, and ecosystems in the long run. At the same time, India's atmospheric science research will expand as part of this mission, which will rapidly expand research and development, especially in weather monitoring, modeling, forecasting, and management. In this, a new standard will be set for weather forecasting using advanced technology and artificial intelligence and machine learning. Let us tell you that many sectors like agriculture, disaster management, defense, environment, aviation, water resources, power, tourism, ports, and health will get direct benefit from Mission Mausam. It will also increase data-driven decision-making in areas like urban planning, road and rail transport, offshore operations, and environmental monitoring. On 12th September, the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana completed 5 years. This scheme was launched to provide social security to small and marginal farmers during their old age. Launched on 12th September 2019, the scheme provides a fixed monthly pension of Rs 3,000 to eligible small and marginal farmers after they reach 60 years of age. To be eligible, farmers contribute monthly to the Farmers' Pension Fund during their working years, with the central government also making its contribution. Let us tell you that as of now, Bihar ranks first with more than 3.4 lakh registrations under this scheme, followed by Jharkhand with over 2.5 lakh registrations. Additionally, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Odisha have registered over 2.5 lakh, 2 lakh and 1.5 lakh farmers respectively under the scheme. It is noteworthy that this is a voluntary and contributory pension scheme where farmers aged between 18 to 40 years contribute Rs 55 to Rs 200 per month until they reach 60 years of age. Registration for the scheme can also be completed through its official web portal. So that's all for now in this bulletin. After the news, let's take a quick look at 5 questions related to the bulletin. Consider the following statements with reference to International Solar Alliance. It was established by the joint efforts of India and France. Its headquarters is located in Hague. Nepal is the 101st member of this organization. How many of the above statements is or are correct? only 1, only 2, all 3, none. Consider the following statements with reference to teal carbon. It refers to carbon stored in non-tidal freshwater wetlands. They have the ability to control greenhouse gases. It is a light absorbing organic carbon. How many of the above statements is or are incorrect? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. Consider the following statements with reference to Curcuma ungumensis. It is a type of rhizomatous herb. This species is considered to be a member of the turmeric family. It belongs to the ginger family Ringiberaceae. How many of the above statements is or are incorrect? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. Next question. Consider the following statements with reference to Amazon rainforest. These forests are present in the Amazon River basin of South America. These tropical rainforests are spread over an area of 5 lakh square kilometers. These rainforests receive more than 200 centimeters of rainfall throughout the year. How many of the above statements is or are incorrect? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. Consider the following statements with reference to PM Kisan Man Dhan Yojana. It was started in 2019. It is a monthly pension scheme. Under this, farmers are given a monthly pension of Rs 5,000. How many of the above statements is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. Recently, the 22nd edition of the bilateral naval exercise Varuna between India and France concluded in the Mediterranean Sea. In this exercise, INS Tabar helicopters and LRMR aircraft P-8I participated from the Indian Navy, while the French Navy was represented by FS Provence submarine, Suffren aircraft F-20 Atlantic II, fighter aircraft MB-339 and NH-90 Dauphin helicopters. The main objective of this exercise was to demonstrate advanced naval operations and strengthen partnerships. This joint exercise is usually held in the Indian Ocean or the Mediterranean Sea with the aim of further strengthening the naval cooperation of the two countries. Recently, the Drug Controller General of India has approved the eye drop Presvu. This eye drop will be specially effective for people suffering from presbyopia, which will reduce dependence on reading glasses. It is worth noting that this is the first eye drop of its kind in India, which can be used by people aged 40 to 55 years suffering from mild to moderate presbyopia. Let us tell you that presbyopia is a condition in which the eyes gradually lose the ability to focus on nearby objects. This is a natural part of aging. Recently, the central government has approved the fourth phase of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Under this phase, 62,500 km of new roads will be constructed, which will provide all-weather connectivity to about 25,000 villages. The total outlay of this scheme will be Rs 70,125 crores. Let us tell you that the central government started the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana in 2000. Its objective is to provide all-weather access to unconnected settlements. It is operated in collaboration with the Ministry of Rural Development and the state governments. Recently, President Draupadi Murmu presented the National Florence Nightingale Award 2024 to 15 winners. These awards were given to outstanding nursing personnel working in the center, state and union territories and voluntary organizations. Let us tell you that this award was started by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in the year 1973. This award is given in recognition of the outstanding services rendered to the society by nurses and nursing professionals. Under this, each award carries a certificate of merit, a cash prize of Rs 1 lakh and a medal. Recently, Turkmenistan and Afghanistan have resumed work on the Tapi gas pipeline project. It is worth noting that Tapi, that is Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India natural gas pipeline project, is an important Regional Energy Initiative. Its goal is to build a pipeline about 1,800 kilometers long, through which 33 billion cubic meters of natural gas will be transported every year from Turkmenistan's Galkanish gas field. This route will pass through major areas like Herat and Kandahar in Afghanistan and Baluchistan in Pakistan and end at Fazilka in Punjab in India. Recently, the second and final meeting of the BRICS Employment Working Group chaired by Russia was held in Sochi, Russia. During the meeting, member countries discussed various issues. Strategies for lifelong education, vocational guidance, modernization of employment services were part of discussion. During the meeting, apart from the representatives of the member countries of the BRICS organization, new member countries also gave suggestions on priority issues. While the Indian delegation emphasized the need for reskilling and upgrading of the workforce to meet the demands of the changing world of work. Recently, the central government announced that India will host the General Assembly of the International Cooperative Alliance. It will be organized in November 2024 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. The theme of this year's conference is Cooperatives Create Prosperity for All, which is in line with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of prosperity through cooperation. This conference will also officially launch the United Nations International Year of Cooperatives 2025. Indian cooperative products and services will be showcased in the hut set up on the theme of Indian villages at the conference. Recently, the Union Cabinet has approved a new scheme called PM E-Drive to promote electric vehicles in India. It is worth noting that PM E-Drive means PM Electric Drive Revolution in Innovative Vehicle Enhancement. Let us tell you that PM E-Drive will replace FAME India 2 and accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles in India. It will be implemented by the Ministry of Heavy Industries with a total outlay of Rs 10,900 crore in a period of 2 years. The aim of this scheme is to promote electric buses, trucks and ambulances. However, electric cars for private or shared transport will not be included under this new scheme.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.